Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be ranking every Scream movie from worst to best. All 7 entries starting way back 30 years ago in 1996, right up until 2026 with the brand new entry Scream 7. Which one of these just suck and which one of these are amazing? That's what I want to get into here. Now for just a bit of background context here, I'm a pretty big Scream fan. It's one of my top 10 favorite franchises, I would say. Got my Ghostface shirt on here, and I'm just really excited to talk about this franchise. I've really fallen in love with it, especially since Scream 6, which, believe it or not, was the first Scream movie I ever saw in theaters, and was the first time I was really exposed to Scream, so I went back, watched all the older movies, and I just fell in love with this franchise. I love how it's not just like your typical horror franchise, it also has like this sense of fun to it with like the meta elements, and it has twists and turns. I just love that. I love good storytelling, and I love just having a good time with these characters. And also, this franchise is just, it has such great vibes, honestly, in my opinion, which that holds a lot of weight for me, okay? But as you guys can see on screen here, we've got 4 different categories that I feel perfectly represent my feelings of these movies. I know they're pretty drastic among like each tier, but yeah, basically the top half is essentially just a reflection of the bottom half. We've got peak at the top, just the best Scream films. Good Scream movies that I really enjoy and I still look positively on. Not good. This is where I feel they may be misstepped. And then horrible. This is like, let's just say movies that I absolutely hate. And we'll get there. We're going to be going over them in release order because I feel like it gets less predictable the further that you go on. So yeah, I figured that's the best way to do it. And before we get into the first movie here, please be sure to drop a like on this video if you like it. And also, more importantly, subscribe if you guys want to talk about movies, shows, and everything in between. Stick around, it will really mean the world to me. Also, just posted my Scream 7 review if you guys want to check that out. And also, be sure to hype up this video. That's like a new feature on YouTube. It helps a ton. But yeah, so close to 1,000 subscribers. But let's just take a look at this list here. So, like I mentioned, we're kicking things off here with Scream 1, the original, the Drew Barrymore special, of course. This is going to be going in peak, okay? Again, I know that's the obvious choice. I just wanted to just keep things easy. Let's just kind of ease our way into this list. Scream 1 is my favorite horror film of all time. Among any franchise, among any whatever, it is my favorite horror film ever. It just does everything right and everything that I want to see in a movie because I'm always going to be a plot-driven person, and I feel like the plot here is just genuinely so interesting, especially because a lot of horror movies, the plot is very lackluster. It just cares about getting good kills. Is the killer's design cool? How brutal can it be? But this movie decided to be fun. It had a weird meta element where like it's almost commentating on itself in a way, and it has incredible characters, the best vibes ever. Well, we'll be talking about vibes in a little bit, but in all seriousness, this was just a miracle of a horror film. Wes Craven was such a genius when it came to this. And of course, Kevin Williamson, the writer who just cooked with this script. I think going into some of the details, the intro, of course, is just so iconic. And it's funny because even though I have seen it a bunch, it still scares me. Like, I do feel like these movies can still be pretty scary and very tense because, I don't know, Ghostface just seems like very realistic, which is pretty ironic because of the fact that it goes for like more of a meta element. But Sidney Prescott, let's just get this out of the way because she's in almost every single movie. That's my final girl. Like, I love Sidney Prescott. That's my final girl. I know some people like Laurie Strode, some people like Ripley. I am just a Neve Campbell guy through and through. I just absolutely love her character. She's so wholesome in the first movie, and then you kind of watch her turn into almost like, no, like this, defensive, like, juggernaut. And obviously from there, she kind of becomes stronger and stronger in each movie because she's like, hey, I've been there, done that. So I absolutely love this movie. It's going on peak. Billy and Stu are just so awesome. The third act. And one thing I also want to add, I don't think that blood has ever looked better in a movie than in Scream 1. I think Scream 1 has the best blood ever. It looks so clean. The cinematography, and just from that era, because it came out in 1996, it just looks so crisp, like the film, and just the way it's shot. It's just so great. Love the core group there. I just think it's absolutely awesome. You got Dewey, Courtney Cox, getting that punch in the face. I just absolutely love it. And again, good plot, but it also manages to be a fun slasher, but also manages just to like have fun and still remains a bit scary. That's what I really love about Scream. Next up's going to be Scream 2. I have a hot take. See, I don't really know like what the public's opinion is on the Scream franchise. Like, yes, I know like Letterboxd ratings. By the way, follow me on Letterboxd if you're not already. But I don't really know like how the fandom of Scream really feels about these movies. This is going to be a hot take. I think Scream 2 is almost as good as the first movie. And I really mean that. I think the intro is just as good. I think the college campus setting, and I just graduated from college, so realistically, maybe I have a bit of bias, but I just think it's so much fun because it allows you to just play around in like a new sandbox rather than just going to a small town again. I think that the new characters that introduced are really interesting, whether it's her boyfriend, who's just like this really wholesome guy, but obviously she has a problem trusting him. Whether it's Cotton Weary, who really starts to like get into the plot and adds another layer. The reveal of this movie, I absolutely adore because I think it's so smart and it almost doesn't even get more meta than this since it's kind of playing off Friday the 13th with the mother angle. And it makes sense. And I remember the first time I watched it, I actually didn't really like love it that much. But then when I watched it again, since I kind of knew it was coming, I was like, oh my God, this is just incredible. I love the way that Randy is elevated in this movie. Randy in this movie, like alone, is one of my favorite performances / characters in the franchise. Like, if we look at each character in each movie, Randy, specifically in Scream 2, is like one of my favorites. I absolutely adore him. Again, the college campus setting, I love like all the stuff about the theater, and again, even just that other angle with Cotton kind of like being thrown into the mix. What's going on? Where are all these killings coming from? I think the kills are also very creative. I love the way that they set up set pieces like the recording studio where there's like the silent room where like when they're banging on the glass, you can't hear it. I just think this movie's awesome. Also like the car crash scene. I love this movie. And again, I don't think it's as good as the first, but like I know it's a hot take. I think it's pretty marginal. I think a lot of people really sleep on Scream 2. Dewey's awesome in here also, and I love when they play his theme with like the little guitar strum and then it's like da-na-na-na-na. That shit is so good. Okay, next up, we're going to go on to Scream 3. Scream 3, kind of concluding this trilogy here, if you will, sort of. I know that, they kept it going, obviously, but this is becoming good for me. Now, I'll admit, I don't want to, like, spoil the rest of the list. This is going towards, like, the back of good, but I still have a lot of fun with this movie, and I think that it bookended this trilogy well, which I think is very important because sure, I don't think the movie's like perfect, but I think it did a good job of like rounding out what's the central narrative of this trilogy. The fact that Roman was actually the one that put Billy and Stu onto her mom. The fact that Roman's her brother, because I actually like Roman as the Ghostface. I like him and with the reveal. One thing I want to add though, just kind of while we're talking about Ghostface, I think the kills in this movie are really weak, like really weak. And I mean, sure, the build up to them is like fine, but the kills are just okay. And see, I never really came to Scream like for the kills. I want them to be as crazy and intense as possible, but I like when they're intense. Like, I don't mind if they're just stabs. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly normal, but I think that, yeah, the kills here, probably the worst part, and also the side characters. Like, I like the idea that each of these side characters are like reflections of the main cast, which is pretty funny because we're on the Stab movie set, which, by the way, how does it get more meta than that? I love that this takes place on a movie set, but I like the girl that's playing the opposite of Courtney Cox. Well, she's playing Courtney Cox's Gale. But then also, you've got like these other people that are kind of just there, just to die. The mansion, the final like act, it kind of just turns into like Scooby-Doo, which I really enjoy. And I think that it just turns into one of these things where like you kind of learn about like the way Hollywood has been taking advantage of like women for like, decades and decades and decades. And I find it pretty ironic that this movie is like 26 years old, I want to say. And it's still something that's happening, not to get on my soapbox here, I'm just saying. But it just touches on that. And I just found it really impressive. On top of that, I think that, again, just being on a Stab movie set's awesome. And the Carrie Fisher little cameo when she's like, she had to sleep with George Lucas to get that role, talking about Princess Leia. Absolutely hysterical. It's just so subtle. It's hysterical. I really enjoy this movie, okay? I got a kick out of it. I can watch it any day of the week. And yeah, it's really fun. And also, I like what they do in the intro where they actually kill a main character in the intro. If you want to call Cotton a main character, I would consider him a main character. Next up, we've got Scream 4. I have a really weird relationship with Scream 4. I'm going to be putting it in not good because I love the intro and I love the third act. I just don't think I can get behind like the first and second act, which yes is like 2/3 of the movie, but they're good to me. Like they're fine. I think I over exaggerated. They're fine to me, But I love the third act, and I love the reveal. I think the reveal in this movie is awesome. I'm a really big fan of like pretty much all the Scream reveals. I think they're pretty good. The intro is like so meta, where we're like in a movie that's in a movie. Then the people in the movie are watching the movie. It's awesome. And the fact that like we're on like Scream like, or Stab 8, I should say. It's hysterical to me. I think that Sidney's pretty good in here. I think the deaths are fine. I just don't really know if I completely love like the internet angle that they're going for. Now, I like the concept of Jill wanting to become the next Sidney Prescott because she wants all the attention and stuff. That is very interesting. But I don't know if I love all like the, hey, we're in a new digital age stuff, because I feel like since this movie was in 2011, now that it's 2026, I look back and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess I get it, but I still really love Emma Roberts in this. It's so funny when she starts just abusing herself, like she's running into the picture frame, she's jumping on the table, she's stabbing herself to try to make it look like a real crime scene. And again, even in that final act, the hospital sequence is just so damn funny. And I just really enjoy this movie, but I still have to put it in not good, because at the end of the day, when I look at it, do I lean positive or do I lean negative? I lean slightly negative, but I still, again, could watch this movie any day of the week. It doesn't like offend me in any way. I still think it's pretty enjoyable. I think also like Gale's a bit weaker, and again, just the plot as a whole, the mystery is just a bit weaker, especially with the not Kieran Culkin, but one of the Culkin brothers, who's like the other Ghostface. He's like okay. I almost wish it was like just Jill, but I get that like she needs kind of like a body there. Next up, it's gonna be Scream 5, aka Scream. I don't know if this is a hot take. I'm putting this in the back of not good, borderline horrible. I really don't like this movie. I think that this movie is honestly, and this is going to sound kind of funny because I understand that this is, you know, a meta commentary franchise. I find a lot of this movie cringe, especially in the dialogue. And from there, I just don't think the plot's all that interesting. And I also think they do things that genuinely hurt the trilogy or hurt the franchise. First of all, Dewey's death was so unnecessary and so stupid the way that he went out. One part of it that really bothers me, and I know that this is very small, is that technically Amber is the one that killed him, played by Mikey Madison, but the Ghostface is clearly a 6 foot tall, 180 pound man, like just looking at the costume. And again, that's supposed to be 5'3" Mikey Madison, according to the plot and according to the reveal, which makes absolutely no sense. The ending, I kind of like the third act. I think I could have some fun with it for sure, but I just really do not like the first two acts. I think Tara in this movie is insufferable, and we'll get to Scream 6 in a second, because, you know, I don't want to spoil here, but I actually like that movie better, a lot better. I think Tara is insufferable in this movie, because her only character trait is, I'm injured, guys. She gets brutally stabbed in the intro after delivering a bunch of cringe dialogue, and I really hate Scream 5's intro. I think it's the worst intro. She's like talking about, oh, elevated horror, like the Babadook. Oh my god, I just want to skip it every single time I watch this movie, which for some reason I've seen this movie 3 times. God, I don't know why. And then from there, her only character trait is that she's injured. She's in a wheelchair, and she's wincing in pain. I feel like Jenna Ortega is really overacting in this movie as well, because every 2 seconds she's just yapping. And I do like the fact that this movie established our core 4. It's trying to do like the legacy sequel type of angle, you know what I mean? Like we're recreating the first movie, but just doesn't really work for me. I don't even really feel like talking about it anymore, because I want to talk about Scream 6 now. Scream 6 is going to be going at the top of good. I love Scream 6. I think I don't want to say where it ranks among the Scream movies, but I really love this movie. I think it's absolutely awesome. Now, this is the thing. This movie is just such like a statistical outlier to me, because Scream 5 obviously like sets up Scream 6 and like kind of sets up like what was going to be at least a trilogy, if you will. I wasn't really in love with the core 4, but for some reason in Scream 6, I was so gripped by them. I absolutely loved them in this, and I think this movie just rocks. And I think it's so much better than Scream 5. The characters, again, like I just said, I think are just so much more interesting. It's a lot more fun, and I genuinely enjoyed them, and I would have loved to see them going forward. Between Mindy, and then of course you've got Chad, who I think are just like such a fun little duo there. Mindy kind of taking Randy's role because that's her uncle. And then also, you've got, of course, Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, who I think have a better dynamic in here, especially what they're doing with Sam and the way that maybe she is a little bit like her father. I do think that one of the best parts of this movie has to be the fact that they actually did try to like jump the shark here. They went for some really bold risk with this franchise, that being taking it to New York City. And I just think that it's one of the best jumping the sharks, swings, and home runs that I've seen in like the past decade. I thought it was so smart. And like, I don't think it's like the greatest movie ever conceived, but I think bringing it there was a great idea. And they also capitalized on it. They didn't just tell you, hey, we're in New York, by the way. No, we're in a bodega. We're on the subway. We're going across ladders between apartment buildings. The kills are super creative in this movie, which I really like. And I just think it's so much fun because, again, it utilizes the city. And I live like kind of like in New York City, so I just guess that means more to me. But from there, the intro of this movie, boy, do I love the intro of this movie. I absolutely love it. It has a Flash from the Spider-Man movies, the newer Spider-Man movies in it. And I love the way it ends, where he's sitting there and he's like, wait, but what about the movie that we have to make? And Ghostface just goes, no one gives an F about the movies. And just slash. That gets me hyped up whenever I'm watching this movie. Every single time. I absolutely love that moment. The reveal, listen, I think the reveal is the weakest if we exclude Scream 7. But with that being said, it's justified. Like, I think it makes sense. Hey, Richie was the killer. Now, their family wants to go after them. And there's like 3 or 4 ghost faces in this movie. So I think that was pretty cool. I like the actors. I'm not really a big fan of Jack Campion, if I'm going to be honest. I just think he's pretty weak as an actor. But we'll move on from there. I just think this movie is just so much fun. Genuinely. It's just so much fun. The meta element, I think, takes maybe a bit of a back seat. Speaking of taking the back seat, Neve Campbell isn't in this movie, but I think they replace her with Kirby as kind of like the one of just the other forces, kind of just adding another girl to the group, an older figure. I think that works really well. And this movie actually kind of proved that you don't need Sidney Prescott in every single movie, in my opinion. Now, let's just move on because, God, I could talk about Scream 6 all day. I know that I don't have it in the top, but I just really have like a soft place in my heart for this movie. I think it's just so much fun, like genuinely. Then we got Scream 7. In case you guys can't tell, seems like there's like some type of empty spot. I feel like Dora the Explorer. Can you find the empty spot on this list? In all seriousness, horrible. This movie is not just the worst movie in the franchise, because let's just say the Scream 5 was the worst in the franchise for me personally, even before Scream 7. I don't think it's just like god-awful, though. This movie, there is such a clear gap. Like, I almost want to add another tier in between not good and horrible, because this movie absolutely sucks. First of all, this isn't even a Scream movie. It's your typical straight-to-streaming slasher movie with a Scream skin on it, with the same actors in the movie, because they just paid them to just kind of show face. And that's about it. The meta element is realistically gone. The plot is awful, and nothing really interesting happens in this movie. It's clear that obviously this was supposed to take another direction because of the fact that it was supposed to be the third movie in a trilogy. But I wasn't going to like let that affect my view of the film. I just genuinely feel in a vacuum, if you ignore all the bad press, if you ignore all the controversy, this movie is just still horrible. Like, I know that some people have like agendas where they hated this movie no matter what, which is fine because I think it's justifiable. But I really went into this with no bias. I went into this movie rooting for it. And I still think it is awful. Like, horrible. The script is so bad. A lot of things make absolutely no sense. I think Chad and Mindy are absolutely forced in here. You could almost argue that Gale is too. And the reveal. The reveal, to say it's the worst in the franchise, makes Scream 6's look like a masterpiece. It absolutely sucks. It is so bad. It comes out of left field, but in the worst way possible. Like, yeah, sure, it was unpredictable to me, but it's because it makes no sense. The motivation is ridiculous and lackluster, and the character or characters, I'm like, what are we doing here? So many characters make dumb decisions. Joel McHale, like her new husband, makes just absolutely no impact on the script or the movie. And I don't think the daughter that's supposed to be kind of like passing the torch here is all that interesting at all. I really don't. The kills were clearly like very CGI'd and just very like carnage candy rather than just trying to be interesting. And I genuinely pretty much just hate this movie. And I think it's one of the worst horror films I've ever seen because it's so generic yet so bad. But listen, guys, that's going to wrap up my Scream tier list. Let me know what you guys think about this, and I just want to hear all your thoughts. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.